everyone. Today I'm very happy because I have returning back to the channel Laurel Hoover from SKINLOVE. Hello, Laurel. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me back.
And today she's brought along her very good friend Jennifer West. Hello, Jennifer. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
I'm so glad that you said you would come on today because when you sent over the information about your new product, it sounds really exciting. Um, and so, first of all, before we jump into that, I'm going to just give everyone a little bio about who we're talking to today. So, firstly, we've got Laurel, who we've met before, but I'm just going to read out her bio. So, Laurel Hoover was Cornell trained in plant medicine and certified in quantum healing hypnosis and educated in anthropology at the University of Idaho and is a pioneer in subconscious and somatic healing. She is the founder of SKINLOVE and co-founded Mirror Medicine with Jennifer West to offer a simple science-supported system that uses ancient dark goddess archetypes to gently rewire trauma, dissolve emotional patterns, and restore the nervous system to coherence. Laurel's unique fusion of plant medicine, hypnotherapy, and archetypal meditation will guide clients into deep shadow work that transforms both the body and mind. Gosh, we all need that, don't we? Jennifer West is a powerhouse energy and mindset coach who helps high-achieving, heart-centered women step out of stress and limitation into freedom, clarity, and the possibility that they were always meant for. With a degree in psychology and years spent leading in corporate sales, management, and training, Jennifer brings a rare combination of emotional depth, strategic thinking, and after experiencing the life-changing impact of coaching herself, she devoted her career to empowering women to reclaim their agency because she knows that everything changes when we shift our inner environment. Jennifer teaches her clients how to access the mindset, emotional resilience, and internal alignment that makes life feel lighter, richer, and more connected. Her belief is that you don't need to overhaul your life to radically change your experience of it. With the right tools, perspective shifts, and intentional practices, clarity and empowerment become everyday realities. Jennifer guides women to unlock their potential, reconnect with joy, and build authentic, self-led lives that they love. So today you've brought to us a new product range that you've been putting together called the Dark Goddesses. And I understand that you've created a new website and packages around Dark Goddess archetypes. So starting with you, Laurel, would you like to explain some of the background as to how you've started this new project called the Dark Goddesses?
Yes, I'd be happy to. A while back, Jen had sent a YouTube video to me about Medusa, and there were some suggestions around meditating with her. And I had never heard about doing that. And I also didn't realize that dark goddesses were meditated with, not worshipped as deities in ancient Greek and Roman times. That was new to me. So there wasn't anything online that was structured. And I just applied some things that I practice in the context of Medusa, and it worked so well. And Jen was working with it as well. And we thought, this is something here, because it makes shadow work so easy. That the goddess is an archetype that represents a certain trauma scope.
Mm.
And when you are able to meditate with this package of trauma that's this neat little bundle, and you look at it outside of yourself and you're able to sit with it and then focus inward on it, it dissolves the pain. And it's the sitting with it that dissolves it. And so we thought, wow, what if we packaged this style and did it in every brainwave state? So there's journal prompts, there's mantras, there's breathwork session, there's a yoga nidra style theta brainwave state meditation, and then there's sleep hypnosis mantras. And that way you can heal so rapidly and so safely and with such ease. It just takes all the guesswork out of shadow work. And then how fun is that, that you can roll out a dark goddess with her pain trauma package, and just keep going with it. And so you can, whatever you relate with, you can start with. And we've been practicing this ourselves, and it's just, we're so excited to bring it to the world because it's such an easy way to do shadow work and heal. And you can heal in your sleep.
So one of the goddesses I'm familiar with is Kuan Yin. And Kuan Yin is the goddess of compassion. She's the goddess of compassionate love. And so in the past, I've had her come into my meditations, not necessarily because I've called her, but because she was somebody that wanted to come in naturally. So so Jennifer, perhaps you could explain to us, when you're saying about the archetype and healing the shadows, doing the shadow work, are we saying that by calling in, say, or working with, say, Kuan Yin, who's the goddess of compassion, that feeling of compassion is what helps something within us to become unlocked and healed and released? Is that how it's working?
Yes, particularly with Kuan Yin, she's actually the goddess I started working with, and much like you, she came to me first, and then I began to call her in, and she's powerful. What we are working with this package is specifically the dark goddesses, which, as Laurel pointed to, is working with shadow work. And just shadow work is simply working on the parts of ourselves that are unseen, the traumas that we haven't processed and healed yet. So it's talked about a lot, but just to be really clear, it's just a really simple, it's not necessarily easy, but it's simple. And what we are working with this is, so when you sit, for example, with Medusa, you can sit with any trauma that you've experienced around personal violation or your voice being silenced. And it creates a space that's safe to, as Laurel shared, to honor what you're experiencing, but not hold it anymore. Because trauma isn't ours. It's something that happened to us. It's an emotion we experienced that didn't fully process out of our bodies. And we don't even have to know exactly what the trauma was. I mean, maybe it comes from something when we were quite small. It's just simply identifying it and giving it the space to move through. And that's what working with these dark goddesses does.
So the dark goddesses, you said that one of them is Medusa. Could you give me some other examples of what a dark goddess might be, as opposed to Kuan Yin, who is I assume, a goddess of light and of a different vibration and a different tool to use? So could you give me some examples of who the dark goddesses are and what they represent to us?
Yes. Well, for example, there's Persephone. She represents grief and loss. Okay. There's Morrigan, who is sovereignty. So the dark goddesses, when you think about them, it's not that they are dark, it's that they have in their story experienced a trauma themselves. And so they help us. So let me give a little example. So years ago, decades, centuries ago, before we had the language of psychology that we have today, and before people had the conscious awareness of processing traumas, they could, if somebody had experienced grief, for example, they could say they were walking the path of Persephone in their healing of their grief to bring them back to wholeness.
So it's kind of like going through the person's story of how they healed themselves with each goddess. And that's why they're called the dark goddess, because they've actually been through these darker experiences. And through us understanding that journey, we can bring that out within ourselves. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I think you were saying that some of these archetypes, Laurel, they reflect also in tarot decks, because now I don't use tarot myself, but I do know that each tarot card in the deck, it kind of has a story. So from like card 1 till the finishing card, as you go through each one, it would reflect a different aspect of your life, like the journey of your life. So are we saying that these dark goddesses, they act in a similar way, that each one takes you through a different aspect of your life, and in that respect, it reflects back into the tarot deck, or how is that related?
Yes, well, I'll offer a little historical structure. So the dark goddesses and the major arcana from the tarot all represent facets that every person has as a trait and are sometimes.
Yes.
Some people are more powerfully one archetype than another. And these archetypes in the major arcana, from the Fool at 0 all the way through to the end, there's 21. Each one represents a part of the blueprint of a soul's evolution within a lifetime. And the father of modern psychology, Carl Jung, actually created a distilled version of the archetypes of the tarot. He hired a group of people to research mythology and tarot to find all the different archetypes, and he distilled them down to 12. And so his number 1 is the same as 0, the Fool, in the tarot, which he calls the innocent. And his number 11 is exactly the Magician. And then all the other ones are a blend of 2 different tarot cards. Now you take that all over to the hero's journey, which every movie script that's good, that tugs at your heartstrings, goes through this hero's journey, which is the journey that the soul goes on through a lifetime. It's the cycle of innocence, challenge, struggle, rebirth, reemergence as a stronger being. And that hero's journey is 7 steps, and it's a distillation of, again, the major arcana. So step 1, I think, is the Fool, which is 0. Step 2 in the hero's journey is cards 1 through 5. It literally correlates the whole way down, exactly crossing over. So these archetypes are baked into our entire global culture. We just don't remember. It's like we have a social amnesia as to where these archetypes even came from. This is where it came from. And it's this ancient practice of working with them to understand, I'm going to have a quarter life crisis. This is how I deal with it. I'm going to have a midlife crisis. These are the aspects of it. This is how I let it go. I'm going to have every 15 years or so, you go through a cycle. And we've been stripped in our society of all of our rites of passage that we used to have. And we've also been stripped of a lot of the mythology, so that we don't really understand that, hey, this isn't unique. Everybody goes through this. It's like the dark night of the soul. And with Jungian psychology, each archetype has a dark side. And
Right.
that is a very interesting thing. So shadow work comes out of Jungian psychology. Now, in the soul's journey, it is a moment represented by a few archetypes that is the dark part, which is the struggle when you emerge victorious. Like when Luke Skywalker is in the cave and he's battling Darth Vader, when Yoda is training him, that's his little dark night of the soul, right? That's when maybe it's Hecate that, you go down into hell and then you come back stronger and more in touch with what you can do. So that's how everything correlates with each other. And all these different systems. It's all the same thing. It's just manifesting in different ways based on the culture. And it's in every culture in the world. Every culture has these.
So I printed out the steps of the hero's journey and the Jung archetypes. And it might be worth just reading those out so that people understand what they are. So the hero's journey, they said to me on ChatGPT that there are 12 steps. And basically, it starts with us being at step 1, where we are in our sort of comfort zone. We have our normal everyday identity. And then something comes along at step 2 to disrupt our life. So we have a challenge or a mystery or an opportunity. And the soul then sort of starts to nudge us to grow, to go forwards. And at step 3, we get afraid. So, you know, often we refuse the call. And so because of our doubt, it makes us hesitate, and we resist it. You know, we don't necessarily go into transformation immediately. And then what happens at step 4 is that somebody might come into our lives like a guide or a mentor, or we might suddenly find some new tools that can help us to work through these fears. And this is the point 5, where we then start to commit towards sort of stepping into the unknown. They call it crossing the first threshold. And they're saying that this is sort of symbolic of us entering into a new level of consciousness. And then what happens, of course, whenever we're making any changes, is that we go through tests, and we also meet friends and enemies at the same time. And these kind of then appear as sort of obstacles or friends or challenges that help us to grow. And this is called the shadow work or the karma of relationships. And so then we go through the step called the ordeal. I think we've all been through this one quite a few times. I think the collective is going through this constantly at the moment with the planet and its constant changes. So once we get to the ordeal, this is where the ego now starts to dissolve, and we have this moment of sort of like spiritual awakening, if you like. And they're saying then we go to step 9, which is like a reward, because we've sort of started to have this spiritual awakening, we gain some sort of gift or wisdom or insight. And they're calling this a higher consciousness or power or healing. And then we get to step 10, which is the road back. And they're saying that this is where the hero returns to the ordinary world, but now you're changed. And you now start to integrate these new things into your awareness. And then at step 11, they're calling it the resurrection. And this is where you have like a final test, which proves that you've actually transformed and integrated everything into your awareness. And at this point, it's kind of like a level of mastery or rebirth or ascension. And then they call step 12, you return with the elixir. And this is where the hero now comes in and shares their gifts with others through their mission, their purpose, or their service. So that's really explains the whole kind of spiritual journey there. And that was on the hero's journey. And then the Jung archetypes, again, I pulled this down from ChatGPT. They were saying that step 1 is when you're the innocent, you have hope, purity, and optimism. Then at step 2, you're the orphan, or you're the everyman, they call it. And this is about belonging, practicality, and realism. Then at it's not steps with these, it's archetypes. The third archetype is the hero. The hero encompasses courage, discipline, and how to overcome things. The fourth archetype in the Jung theory is the caregiver, the person who has compassion, service, and is dedicated to healing. The fifth archetype from Jung is the explorer. So this is the person that likes freedom or discovery or independence. The sixth one is the rebel, who's the person of revolution, breaking patterns, and likes to tell the truth. The 7th archetype is the lover, who likes to have connection, intimacy, and harmony. Then you have the creator, who likes to have a vision, uses imagination, and is innovative. Then you have the archetype of the jester, who is joyful, humorous, lightness of spirit and perspective. Then you have the sage, who it likes to encompass wisdom, truth, and guidance. Then you have the 11th archetype, which is the magician, which is transformation, manifestation, and alchemy. And finally, you have the archetype of the ruler, who likes order, leadership, and responsibility. So how do those archetypes, Jennifer, fit into your new product, your new app? How are you combining the goddesses, the Jung aspects, and the archetypes of the hero's journey? How does that all look when you come into your new app?
So when you come in and you work with, so Medusa is our first introduction. And for example, she relates with Campbell's journey directly with ordeal. So she is the deep confrontation. She is breaking through the identity. She is cracking open the struggle and creating, well, breaking through old patterns to create new spaces. We have used the different methods that are employed, like with Jungian psychology, and even some of the newer things like with CBT psychology, and this history of the archetypes to create the different pieces of our package, which have a really synergistic approach to the healing. So you're getting it on, as Laurel said in the very beginning, on all the different brainwave states to create the transformation.
When I come in, do I need to know what my blocks are?
So no, we have, so each offering is focused on a particular goddess.
Right.
Our first offering is Medusa.
Okay.
So within that, we have the mantras, we have the journal prompts, we have the breath work, we have the meditation, it's a really beautiful meditation. And then we have the sleep hypnosis mantras. Mm-hmm. So all of these pieces work together synergistically. And no, you don't have to know anything. So I think one of the things that was really important to us in creating this is that this work is often, I think, stigmatized as being really hard or deep, difficult, challenging work. And I honor anyone who is willing to look at their shadow and willing to do this inner work. And it doesn't have to be hard. We have created something that is simple, is very accessible, is easy to integrate into everyday practices. It can be something you do different pieces of multiple times a day. It can be something that you do once a week. It's all what resonates for you most. And I think I said earlier, like, oftentimes we don't even know, like, we can know we have a trigger, we can know that we have a block about something, but we don't have to know what created it to begin with. It's not necessary.
And if it hurts too much, you can use the sleep hypnosis mantra until your trigger is a little more mutable, and then dive into the other aspects that are available.
And also the journaling aspects. When I've been using meditation or spiritual tools like yours in the past, I often, because I in the past I used to teach meditation and spiritual classes. And so some of the methods that I used to teach were about always keeping a journal beside you, so that as you come out of your meditation or your experience of breath work or mantra or whatever system you're using, whatever has come up in that moment, you can write it down. Because if you don't write it down at that moment, you might lose that experience. And in writing down, what you're doing is you're grounding and you're healing and you're letting out a lot of emotional content just by recording what happened. So I think you were saying that in your system, you have a journaling process as well. Is that correct? When people arrive in your new portal, your new app, you're going to find 6 sections per goddess. And this is going to be a total trauma brain rewiring support system. And each month you're going to release a new goddess where you can do journaling prompts, mantras, mantra breath work, which will cover things like the theta brainwave, where you can do yoga nidra meditation, and you can do mantra sleep hypnosis for each of those goddesses each time they're introduced. Is that correct?
It is.
And the website is called mirrormedicine.com. And I understand that you get all of that in the package for just $47 per goddess.
Yes, and one thing, it's mirrormedicines plural.com, so that it gave us room because we don't know what else is going to channel through us. So we wanted to start here, but we feel that far more is coming. And we priced it so low because we want to populate divination tools so that the collective can heal, because we all live here and we all are experiencing a hero's journey as a collective. And the more of us that heal, the more the fabric of our space-time heals, and the more supportive it is for those who are being called to heal but are not quite ready. And we thought, how do we best support the species and therefore support us?
So just before we finish, what I would really like to know is how you two met and how you've now arrived here working together, because you both seem to have the right skills, but when you put them both together, it seems to work very well. So how did all that come about?
On Earth? This time around, we met through a mutual friend a handful of years ago in Key West for New Year's.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we bonded pretty instantly and quickly became fast friends. And we are both really committed to our own personal growth and expansion, and to being in service of others who are on the journey and who desire it as well. And we have had such magical transformational experiences together that when this concept birthed itself, we were all in for sure. And I want to add too that one of the things I think is particularly beautiful about this offering is that it really meets you where you are. So wherever you are on your journey of inquiry, like, there's space for you here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you both offer private sessions in addition to the package? Because obviously you both have a skill set individually as well that clients might be interested in coming to see you on that basis. But do you offer private sessions for the work that you do in addition to the portal?
Yes, and Jen is amazing. Jennifer West Coaching is her website. And when we first became friends, I hired her as a coach. I was in a transition state. So we forged our friendship in her skill set, and she was amazing. She dislodged me from my stuck space and expanded my reality. And she has a way of leading you into an interdimensional type experience pretty early on. And I hope, Jen, you're okay with me sharing that, but she just has a way of helping you understand what's available in space time. There's so much more here than what we see. and guiding you into a space where you can expand into more nowness in the way that she does is very unique to her. I just had to beat your drum for you.
I really like the idea of having an experiential experience while you're having therapy, because in the past, many years ago, I had psychotherapy and I didn't like it at all because it felt like I was just I mean, obviously that's the point of that type of therapy, but you're kind of going over a story, and I didn't feel that by just saying it over and over that I was actually healing it. Whereas later on, I went to something called CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. And the lady, during all of her sessions, she incorporated different types of feeling your body. And what does your body feel like? And so you are having more of an experience. I can't really explain it very well, but it was a very different therapy that worked really well for me, because I felt like I was able to release things rather than just keep rehashing a story that didn't seem to necessarily relieve it. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well. So I really like the idea that there's a way to have a therapy where you can be in the moment and release things on different levels of being, different levels of feeling, and perhaps like you're explaining with this now experience, there's more to what's going on in the world. It's not just about us. There's all these other dimensions. And so if you can find a therapist that can help you to understand that you're part of a bigger experience, it helps you to, I think it helps you to heal on much deeper levels than just going over a story in what can feel like just a one-dimensional situation. I think somebody described it once as that type of therapy can just be like having furniture, but you're just moving it around differently in a room.
Mm.
And that's really how it used to feel for me. Whereas when I went, as I said, to the more experiential level, it was really helpful. And that's what actually led me to have my journey into becoming a spiritual coach. Because at that moment, I was started to open up to a lot of different things that I'd never really understood before. And it prompted me to then want to go in that direction myself. So being able to expand your experience through meditation and feeling your way through things on different levels, I think that's very helpful. And of course, all of these tools that you've put together here are all the different aspects of that.
Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
We have brought in pieces of CBT. We have brought in pieces of uncovering the subconscious of Jungian psychology. We have brought in the somatic practices of breath work, and in our meditation, it is definitely that. It is feeling it through the body to release that energy that's stuck. So yes, I think this is the beautiful culmination of all of the goodness.
And QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique, we may expand further into that in the future. I don't know, but we feel really complete with the sleep hypnosis mantra. It's delicious.
Is
And the way that I've been teaching over the years is that when we do any kind of spiritual work, whether you call that meditation, breath work, journaling, what you're doing is you're bringing in a consciousness into your body. And that consciousness has within it like a cleansing effect. It comes into your body and it pushes out the old. You can't bring new in unless the old gets released. What it also does is when you're using any of those techniques and you're bringing in consciousness, the consciousness has like keys in it, symbols, geometries, and they sit inside of your body waiting for the exact right moment to unlock something. They are keys which unlock awareness when the time is right. And each time you do a meditation or a breath work or a journaling, you're bringing in the next set of keys which can help you to unlock the next stage of your journey. And that's how I used to explain it, which is a more simplified version than our hero's journey or Jung. But it helps people to understand what's happening as they're doing each method. I also explain.
Isn't it beautiful that when it's true everywhere?
Yes. I also explain to people that when you carry these keys, they're in your auric field, and as you then go about your daily life, that work that you've been doing on yourself, those keys that you hold in your auric field, will actually brush against the others. And so other people that weren't necessarily meditating or journaling, but who needed that healing, will also receive those keys as you brush past them. And in the moment when it's the right time for them, those keys will unlock something within them as well that can help their journeying process, healing process. So the whole thing doesn't just help us individually, it helps the collective to also come up another layer. And of course, now in quantum physics and things, as we've talked about before on my channel, they're now able to explain these things mathematically and in very clever ways. But if you've been a spiritual person all along, you've obviously known about that, but we didn't necessarily have the language. So what I find interesting now is that the languages of sciences like psychotherapy and neuroscience and things like that are now able to create explanations in a scientific way so that we actually now can see in a theoretical framework what we've known all along as spiritual beings. I find it fascinating and difficult to understand at the same time.
Yes, I love that too. Yes.
The ancient Essenes nailed it to the wall. Exactly what you were talking about with the keys. I've never heard it put that way, and I would love to learn a lot more about what you're saying. And it echoes exactly the ancient Essenes said when you have a moment where you have an in-loveness for a stranger, and it can be a platonic falling in love, it could be butterflies, but your field, which is your average resonance frequency of the entirety of your being, your physical body, your emotional state, your energy body, and your karmic body, when you experience that with another human, or if you brush by somebody and have a deja vu, or if you see somebody and you feel magnetized to them, their field is mixing with your field and it's filling in for something that within yourself you either perceive to have lost, had stolen, or given away. And if you get to know that person, you'll discover through their eyes, you'll rediscover those parts of yourself and call them back to yourself. And so much in our culture, we think, oh, it's just love at first sight. And then, but if you're not attracted to that gender, there's a confusion there, or you're just like instant friends. Or so this concept that when you heal yourself, you heal everybody, it even is to the more particular and individual level too of what you were talking about, Michelle, is that even this dialogue, the energy field of our dialogue can encapsulate somebody listening, and they can have that experience, or just walking down the street. The energetics of healing are just such a divine tapestry that it's just by going out and taking a walk, you could walk past somebody and something good, right? There's like magic dust kicking off all over the place. It's just so fun to think about how we're all interconnected. It's all the same thing.
Well, it's beautiful because when we heal and then we go out in the world and we interact with somebody, I mean, just think about it on a really simple level. Like when you walk into a store and you interact with somebody who's in the store, like when we are healed and we are in peace, then we are sharing that energy in that simple interaction. Like that spreads, all of it spreads. It all matters.
It's like they always explain when I'm channeling my masters that everything is interconnected, we're all one. So like you were saying, if one person takes a step of progress, everybody takes a step of progress. And so we're doing it not just for ourselves, but for the whole of humanity. It's particularly at this time. It's a very important time as we move into the golden age. And I think the other good thing about your portal is that it's a lifetime membership. So once you've paid to get to access, you can go back in and out whenever you want to. And the importance of that is that if you do a particular type of spiritual practice like meditation or journaling on a regular basis, then it deepens the level of healing that you receive. It's like if you practice it regularly and often, it somehow goes in deeper and it becomes more powerful, in my experience. So it means that the way that you've set this up, I could come in and out and practice it over and over. And so that to me is another very beneficial ingredient of this entire package that you've put together. And you've really sort of encompassed all the different aspects, with the journaling and the breath work and the meditation. It covers all aspects of spiritual development and healing. Is there anything that you'd like to add that I've forgotten to ask you, or that you'd like to just add before we go? Shall we start with Laurie? Oh, sorry.
I think we're starting with Jen.
Okay, we'll start with Jennifer.
Well, I would like to say thank you for naming that. Because sort of like you were talking about the brushing past and the key, I think I like to think about it like we're all in a spiral staircase, and that as we move through, as we learn more about ourselves, as we heal our traumas, as we elevate our awareness and our consciousness, then new things come forward to be healed and to be addressed. And so we just keep coming around as we rise. And these practices, these containers, create the space to keep deepening into that.
Well, I love what Jennifer brought up there, and that with both the hero's journey and with the tarot archetypes, both of them say that once you hit mastery at the end, you become the fool again. You're back to zero, because that's your new baseline. And then you have all the same challenges, but you tackle them from a different and higher perspective because you're a new person. And then once you're there, and it never ends, right? And then before you know it, you've evolved past this dimension and the next dimension and the high. It's just octaves. It's all octaves. And we're all so blessed to be in this octave together and to help each other rise as we're evolving, right? And it's a bumpy road. And I would love for people to talk about how bumpy it is, so that we can all say, hey, I see your bump. I get it. I was there. I'm going to be back there next year. So it's just, I'm glad that these dialogues are expanding to the hard parts. And, the more that we expose the hard parts, the less hard they are. I mean, it is difficult, like going to the gym. You have to expand your nervous system to handle this stuff and to allow it to pass out of your body. It takes bravery. But when you know that you're fully supported and you know what to do and there's no guesswork and you know what to expect because others say, hey, this is how it goes. This is what you might feel. It's not called the dark night of the soul for no reason. But the more we can be there for each other, oh my word, the more beautiful reality becomes. And this is just one way that Jen and I felt that we could just give back. And the fact that you're offering this to your audience, we're all part of this together. The three of us are bringing this energy to the world. And it's such a beautiful gift to be part of the expression of this concept that's flowing through us for us, for others.
Now, just to finish, if people are listening and they've never tried anything like this before, they've never heard of journaling or breath work or dark goddesses, is it something that anybody can do at any level? Do you have to have any experience, or is your portal somewhere where anybody can come at any stage, I suppose, of where they are?
Any
Absolutely.
stage. If you have never meditated, this is for you. If you have meditated for 10 years and gone on shamanic journeys, this is for you.
That's brilliant. So it's something for everyone. And finally, we're actually coming up to Christmas very quickly now. Is this something that people could buy, say, as a gift for somebody? Are you offering, say, I don't know, a gift certificate way to gift it to somebody? Is it set up within the portal that I could say buy it for my friend for Christmas, something like that?
It is now. We'll make that happen. I think that's a phenomenal idea. Yes, gift certificate in the stocking.
I mean, that would be a wonderful gift to send to somebody, wouldn't it? And it's very easy because obviously one of the other aspects of Christmas are we never have enough time to do everything, find all the gifts we need for everyone. And the more that we can do online, the easier it makes it. So I can already think of a few people that might be interested in sending a gift like that for Christmas. So that might be an idea for people. Anyway, it's been very, very interesting to learn about this concept with you both today. Thank you very much for coming on. I've learned a lot. I had to go away before I came on with you today to find out these two concepts, the Jung theory and the archetypes and the hero's journey and all of those. I think I've probably been working with them all before, but I hadn't realized what they all were in terms of putting them into a theoretical framework. So thank you very much for teaching me about that today and for sharing with us all your wonderful skills and how they're all going to combine to make this beautiful website and portal for people with this lifetime access, which people will be able to just use and benefit from over and over again. So thank you very much. And perhaps we'll come together again in the future to share any new ideas or portals that you put together.
Thank you. And may I do a
you.
quick shout out before we close off here? I know that you two have spoken before about SKINLOVE, but just as a longtime advocate of Laurel's work and beneficiary of her brilliance, I just encourage anyone who has any desire to improve or heal their skin in any way holistically, that she is pure magic.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that was a lovely ending, wasn't it? Lovely, lovely thought to end the interview. So thank you both very much. And I'll see you both next time. Bye for now.